Hello, everyone. This is Vanguard of Valor, and welcome back to the Sunless Sea. Our adventures continue as we finish playing chess at Port Cecil, and it is time yet again to head out. Our fuel supplies are limited. Our food is equally so. But we hope to make it from this place unmolested. We have instructions to visit the Salt Lions, and perhaps we will attempt to before returning to Fallen London. It is a long journey, and with not a great deal of supplies, but if we can make the trip, it will most certainly be valuable to us. I believe we have the chance to make our way. Engaging full power to the engines to escape this albino moray leaves us a great deal clear. Let us send out a Z-Bat and see what it finds. Lily pads, you say? We watch for fungal pads in the sea of lilies. There is a prison here, guarded by not oracles. Where is this sea of lilies? Directly in our path, you say? Well, let us investigate. The waves are cluttered with Z-Rack, like drowned hair drifting. We confirm our course and continue to sail into the Sea of Lilies. Is there a port here? It would seem as though there is not. But who knows what our experiments will uncover. There could be any number of strange things here. The giant frogs that paraowl the lily pads are no exception, and that would seem to be a lighthouse. Let us investigate that before we move onwards. It may be something much more sinister. But until we investigate, there is no way for us to know. There are no islands within the Z-Bat's range, but we did discover Skylar's End, which was indeed what we were looking for. However, the signs of another ship on the waves gives me a dire urge to flee. And so, we do our best to escape this enemy ship, for though we have the ability to fight, we are not well suited. Let us slow our course and make for safer waters by the sea lions. Luckily, our efforts at moving at high speed have not caused us any undue harm, as of yet. We have been lucky so far. We are running low on food, however. But at the same time, we return to the Salt Lions. Our terror rises as we pass through the fog bank, but briefly, before returning to the safety of the outside. Safety is a questionable term, but at the very least we can see what we do. Let us make port at the Salt Lions and see what this mysterious passenger has for us. We return to the Salt Lions, two basalt beasts, cathedral-sized. We can visit the Unmakers, as something awaits us here. We can carry Sphinx Stone to London, if we had the space. We can compile yet another port report. Or we've brought the Nacreous Outcast here. With luck, it knows why. The options are having the Nacreous Outcast, something to do with Salt's attention, and the principal's end seeking the salt lions. Well, let's see what it has to say. The face of the northern sphinx is all but gone, but the nacreous outcast scrambles doggedly up. It pauses at the top, and then flips into the air, an arc as precise as a compass line, down into the darkness of the Z. It's gone, with barely a splash. We wait. There's no reason for alarm. You can probably breathe water. We wait longer. There is a certain degree of decorous alarm. Longer still, and the alarm manifests in the form of sailors clustering casually by the rail, only casually, because no one would admit any concern for the fate of a rubbery man. The rubbery man surfaces. It mounts the steps to the quay, with the ceremonious delight of a vicar mounting the steps to a pulpit. It holds a sphinx stone chess piece aloft in its hand. "Principals," it wheezes. Salt no longer has our attention, but we have acquired a sphinx stone chess piece. Interesting. While we are here, we'll compile a port report. We've done this before, but perhaps they will give us a reward yet again. And we will visit the Unmakers, muscular pick-wielders resting on camp stools, watching us approach, passing hip flasks around. An unctuous overseer beckons us to sit. Fungal, tisane, and tea cakes. We get funding from the bazaar, it's true, but Station 4? I wouldn't call us Station 4. It's a little grandiose. The stones are stuffed with secrets, but most of them used as garden statuary or occultist ballast. Most of them. Some go down to the places under the bazaar. More tea cakes. Well, we've lost 5 of our terror and gained a single fragment, but not a bad reward for what it is. There's no shops with which to trade here. I believe it is time for us to continue on our way. We could try to attempt to return to Port Cecil, but I have a feeling that with our little fuel and our little food, that would not go well. We'll need to dock somewhere along the way, and hopefully Guiders Mourn will be able to help us out. As it stands, we run a real risk if we do not make the trip within time. As we set back out upon the Z, we run low on supplies. We flee with all possible speed towards Guiders Mourn in the hopes of recovering what we need to live. Should we fail to make it there in time, the results could be very dire indeed. Setting sail across the Z is always a dangerous proposition, especially when pirates are involved. Burning our fuel at an even more rapid rate, we attempt to escape the pirates, having been very lucky so far as to not set our engines aflame. However, I believe now we have made a significant distance, and they are unlikely to pursue us further. Thankfully, we've reached Guiders Mourn with fuel and food enough to live. Here again, we have some options. For the time being, we will perhaps overhear rumors of a pirate poet. We can attempt to gather intelligence at great risk. We can attempt to have an evening at the Arrant Limpet for a great risk indeed. We can explore the Mourn and see what happens. But I think we will certainly attempt this. Landlubbers fear pirates. Pirates fear the poet. Let's investigate. Lies, nonsense, glimmers. Some say she's a clay man who freed herself with the power of verse. Possible. Others insist she's the personal muse of the king with 100 hearts. Unlikely. One claims she sails on a living ship made of the still screaming skulls of her victims. More sober voices mutter that no, it's just an Osseous-class vessel. Whatever the truths, few have fought her and survived to tell the tale. Only the bravest of captains risk the lonely parts of the sea where her flag is said to fly. Well, there's an opponent for us to avoid at all costs. But for now, let's investigate the Morn. There's a surprising quantity of actual landscape on the Morn. It's vertical, admittedly, but once we find the beast paths and urchin roads, we can traverse it as we would a rocky moor, with an additional throatful of lurching terror. A high place, the sea like a rippled sheet of night-green jade, the roof of the neath above, bellied with stalactites and prickled with false star. We can look out across the water and think. We can attempt to pray to the god Storm or the god Stone, but we have none of the attention of those. We can muse on the wide black sea and where it ends. We can muse on our past as a poet, or muse on our future. Musing on our future could be interesting if it gives us more information about our father, but we know to search in Nuncio, so this may not be the most useful immediate check. I believe we'll muse on our past as a poet. Days of honey and roses in Hollow Street, long walks in Tyrant's Gardens with very special friends. We found inspiration, and more. If our old companions can see us at the helm of a ship, it's better pay than writing, and that's the least of it. But we've gained 5 pages for our musings. That is an enormous reward indeed. Almost reaching 70 in the pages category. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Well then, I believe it is time for us to attempt to acquire some resources. We can sell prisoner's honey for 26 echoes apiece, mushroom wine for 23. Fuel and supplies are, as always, ludicrously expensive. Nothing is ever simple, is it? Nothing is ever simple. Well, it's hard to tell what we would get for these mushroom wines elseways, but I believe we must sell them here in order to acquire the fuel we need to make it back home, and the food, as we are very low on supplies. I'm not eager to buy at such a high cost, but something at least must be done, as otherwise there is no way for us to make it back home. Let us sell our mushroom wines. 100 echoes. We will keep 1 for potential use elsewhere. And we will acquire some fuel. And some supplies, expensive though they are. A great cost, but hopefully enough to return us home safely. And now, we depart this place. Let us attempt to return. We have some space undiscovered thus far between us and fallen London, but until we make the journey, there's no telling what we may or may not find along the way. It is a disappointment that our ship is, as of yet, still so slow, and I would love to invest in a more powerful engine. But for the time being, that may not be an option for us. Let us return home from the Sunless Sea, and see what this place has in store for us. We are making our way into potentially unknown territories. Let us see what the Z-Bat has to tell. But there are no islands within the Z-Bat's range, so it is simply a matter of exploring. A deep bank of fog to the south. interrupts a potential course. But it looks as though we have plenty of supplies to return us home. We have re-entered the waters around the tomb colonies, but despite taking a brief break at this small island, we have no immediate desire to rest here for long. We drop in at Hunter's Keep. While we're here, we have the ability to chat with the ladies of the island. Luncheon with the sisters. Let us take luncheon with Phoebe, soft voice, watchful, unpredictable. Phoebe has a story to tell of two lovers parted by water, of a raven that carried messages, of a fragment of the moon. She beats time on the table as she speaks, as if to a song only she can hear. The effect is hypnotic. Our attention drifts out through the skylight of the dining room to the false stars glittering in the roof of the cavern. We drift like a puffball spore. The Untersee shimmers below. Islands lie like mineral specimens on black velvet. Ships bob like wood chips beneath the islands or between them. Vast spined things pulse in the depths. There is a scent like the scent before a storm. The storm came, says Phoebe quietly. Everything changed. Somewhere in there we finished the last course. The scowling maid reluctantly serves cheese and Bath Oliver biscuits. We've lost 5 terror and all of our hunger. We've gained this god of the storm's attention. We've gained a memory of distant shores even. We've gained a supply, which would have been good to know before I purchased one at an exorbitant price, but such it is. And we've become acquainted with the sisters of Hunter's Keep yet again. Well then. Well then, indeed. I believe it is time for us to set to sea once again. Return home to fallen London and make good on our travels. We are nearly there. It should be no great challenge for us to return home at this stage, passing over the ruins of Low Barnet. Low indeed, as it sits beneath the waves. And yet, the lights of fallen London are a reassuring sight. Home, sweet home. We run low on fuel, though our supplies do us well. Let us see what progress we have made. And we have returned. Many, many things await us here. First, let us return to our lodgings. We can read the morning papers to gain the recent news of London. The Unexpurgated Gazette, the magazine formerly known as the London Magazine. The Spiteful Trumpeter. News. The Echo Bazaar, that enigmatic marketplace, has increased its tax on love stories. The traitor empress has forbidden singing in the street outside her palace. The anarchists of the Calendar Council have inexplicably dynamited a drinking fountain. The Ministry of Public Decency has located and destroyed a nest of gallbladder wasps. A great deal of local stories. Well and well. We can rest for 10 echoes to reduce our terror, heal a wound, and give us a restful night. Well, healing a wound is certainly an important thing, as we do have one, so we'll spend the echoes and heal ourselves yet again. The rats keep us awake of nights with their muttering and skirmishing, but the bed is warm, and the door has a lock. We now have a restful night. That will strengthen us against nightmares. We've lost 10 echoes and 1 terror, but more importantly, we've lost a wound. Excellent. Well, it is time for us to return to the city. return to London. What can we do here? We can carouse in the Woolstack docks. We can hire on more crew to fill up our spaces here. We can put our ship in dry dock, or we can see if anybody waits our attention, but at the time, no one does. There is, however, a much more important task for us to do. Return to the dark-spectacled Admiral, and see what we have to return. We have no revelatory charts, moves in the great game, or anything like that, but I believe we will submit our port reports. Port Cecil. The principles of Coral. I have no idea why anyone thought that settlement was a good idea. He gives us, as a result, a fuel, 1 favor, and 30 echoes for knowledge of what happens in Port Cecil. Been to the stalled steps, eh? Yes, this kind of material is always of interest. How a nation could be so barbarian and so decadent at once is beyond me, but they're terribly dangerous. Tell them of Khan's heart. Well, it looks like they were interested in that one indeed. We gain a fuel again for our trouble, a favor, and 75 echoes, much more valuable than the others. Let's see what else we can interest him with. Perhaps the Isle of Cats. And what does the so-called Pirate King have to say for himself these days? Yes, well, we did rather know about his rose gardens. Not good news they're prospering, though, really. Should have nipped it in the, if you'll allow me, bud. And trading with the Connaught, with the Iron Republic. Bother. I may have to have a meeting about this. Well, that gives us another fuel, another favor, and another 30 echoes. Very nice. Let's tell him about the Fathom King's hold. What's the old monster up to now? Well, we gain another favor. We gain 30 echoes and another fuel. Nothing unusual. Ah, yes, Khan's shadow. Oh, these are always fun. Come, let's hear it. Other officials gather round to hear our tales of bloodshed and debauchery, and the jokes about the Khan that the shadow produces so efficiently and so entertainingly. The one about the Khan and the donkey produces a roar of patriotic laughter and encourages the deputy recorder to unlock the departmental drinks cabinet. Well, what do you know? Sounds like a good time. We've lost 5 terror, we've gained 30 echo and another fuel. Let's tell of the Salt Lions. We've spoken to them about this before, but we'll see if they have anything new to share. Well, for our port report, we gain another 20 echoes and another fuel. Of course, the Admiralty's favor remains unchanged because we've surveyed them before, I believe. Excellent. Well, we can have an appointment with the dark-spectacled Admiral. I don't know what else we'd want to investigate with him at this time, though. Cashing in those was a fairly important thing we came to do. We now have a great deal of echoes, and perhaps the shops have something valuable to us. For now, though, we'll investigate the Alarming Scholar. The Alarming Scholar is mercurial, to say the least. We have the option to hand in our outlandish artifacts, our extraordinary implications, our lamentable relics, and our memories of distant shores. And they may indeed be valuable to us. On the other hand, we can hold on to such things in the hopes of trading them in for more valuable rewards in other lands, but it is difficult to say when they will be required. Difficult to say, indeed. For the time being, I believe we will simply investigate what we can buy first, and then perhaps return to increase our funding, if required. We could buy a new lantern to increase our mirrors, but at the time being, I am more than content with what we have. It's nothing fancy. In fact, it could be said to be nothing at all, but it does the job. The biggest requirement for me at the moment would be to attempt to acquire a new engine. If we can find one of those for sale, that would be a very valuable thing indeed. As well as, of course, fuel and supplies at a much lower, much more reasonable cost. The Wolfstack Exchange sells nothing of the type. The Iron and Misery Company does indeed sell engines. They consume more fuel but increase speed. Unfortunately, the next step up truly is a 500 cost. We could attempt to buy the Serpentine. Or is that what we have already? I believe that is what we have already, and if that is not a terrible engine. But no, we have an elderly steeple engine at the moment. Nothing exceptional. Simply this. You can't seem to buy the Serpentine, however. A shimmering complexus of steel and glass, in its heart a Serpent King rages, or so the magician claims. That would be an incredible thing to acquire, as it does give us 10% fuel efficiency, vastly better engine power, hearts, and veils. But it seems as though that's simply there to taunt us. We could attempt to buy secure compartments that no one gets in without the key or out. That could be very useful to us. We have no aft section on our ship, however, so it cannot be acquired. Lots of interesting things which we cannot, unfortunately, take advantage of. This is the next step up, and unfortunately it is still out of our price range. If we investigate the shipyard, another ship would cost us 1,000 echoes to simply get the same kind we already have. Another step up from that would be 2,000, and we are nowhere near being able to afford these more impressive things. Unfortunate. Unfortunate indeed. Our riches escape us at the moment. Well, what else would we wish to make use of here? We could sell our candles, but we've bought them for our own purposes. We could sell our wine. In fact, it's worth less here than it was elsewhere. It looks as though this may not be the best time for us to make any purchases after all. The things which we would desire are not exactly within our reach, and it would probably be better for us to simply buy the repairs and fuel that we need here. Well then, it turns out this may not have gone exactly as one might have hoped, but we shall see. We shall see. I believe at the time it would be best for us to return to the dark-spectacled Admiral and head to the dry dock. There we go. From here, we have a couple useful options. We can visit the Admiralty's fuel stores, exchanging the Admiralty's favor for fuel, but apparently it's a tough challenge with only 36% chance of success. That seems very unusual to me. We can also buy repairs, 75 echoes for a repair, 100 echoes for a full repair. We're very weakly damaged, though. We can, however, use an collection of Admiralty's favors and some echoes to repair our hull as well. But we don't exactly have the damage that would require such extravagant sales. We could attempt to employ Rattus Faber engineers. Could be fairly useful to us, but we already have a chief engineer. It's hard to say what we want at the moment exactly. I don't understand why this is a tough challenge, though. I understood that you could simply make these as trades. Let's attempt one and see what happens. The quartermaster is not usually friendly, but we have enough sailors' jokes and harbor gossip to set her laughing nostalgically. She's remarkably liberal about the measurement of fuel. We traded in an Admiralty's favor to gain 3 fuel, and we've succeeded in the Heart's challenge. Well, it sounds as though we got lucky that time, and I don't feel like testing my luck too much further. I don't know what can happen if we fail the challenges, and at the moment I'm not too interested in discovering the fate that may await us. Is there anything else we would wish to do here, back in London, before we head back out into the unknown? We could submit some intelligence if we had some, but let's ask what he needs. Visit a port, and we'll be interested in the port report. Visit places of particular interest, and we'll be interested by the strategic information you gain thereby. We'll pay you well. Well, sounds as though he doesn't have any particular jobs for us, which is unfortunate.
He has nothing of particular interest, unless he does, and I've forgotten what it was after not having played this in such a long time. Bring wine to Venderbite. Well, that is unfortunate, because I simply sold all my wine. Well. Ah, yes, Wither. That's what they wish us to go to. To visit Wither and get strategic intelligence there. Well, that we can do. Unfortunately, I just sold all my wine. Let us buy some more and return. Unfortunately, it doesn't say how many we need, which is a problem. But we should be able to afford some more, expensive though it may be. Or not. If it's not selling here, it may be difficult to do anything. Ah, nah, yes it is. Okay, it comes at almost the same price it sells for here, so... Not a problem. Not a problem. Not the most exciting of rewards, but it'll do. We'll buy ourselves some supplies, certainly. And some more fuel yet again. Filling up our cargo with necessities. But such it is. A long, much-needed return. And now it is nearly time for us to set sail again. And so, we leave into the Untersee. But, this is it for now. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. This has been Vanguard of Valor exploring the Sunless Sea. If you've enjoyed the episode, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Don't forget to follow me at the links in the description as well, on Twitter, on Twitch, on those various services to keep in touch with what's going on and to see what happens when we're streaming and other services. Thank you very much for your time, and until next time, bye-bye.